blanket to sit on or more than one blanket to sit on. Ugh. If you need to stretch your legs out. If you need to stretch your whole body out, right? And then just close your eyes and let yourself feel both your sitting bones reaching down and feel the top of the head just gently rising upward. And enjoy your breath coming in and going out through your nose. See if you can find those little spaces between your breaths. So taking time just to appreciate those little pauses between the breaths, those little spaces between your breaths. Starting to let yourself move in those circles with your torso. So those quieting, really centering circles that your breath leads you to. Exhaling as you come forward, inhaling when you come back. You know, they can be very small, or these circles can get bigger and bigger. It's up to you. Going to stop and go the other direction. So when you're ready, letting yourself unwind here. The next time your exhale brings you back forward, let yourself stay there. You may want to put your hands down, give support. You may want to walk your hands farther out. That depends on you. Shift a little bit. Let yourself feel your torso shift a little side to side once you're forward there. Release your head so you can let your neck release as your head hangs. And of course, if you like to fold more over your legs, go right ahead. If it feels better to stay up high, do it. Just be mindful. Let yourself enjoy your breath. Good. And then come on back up. Walk yourself on back up to sitting, and let's let our hands come on out beside us, fingertips lightly touching the ground. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Lift your elbows up a little bit. Really press your hands more together so you feel your wrists there. And then soften the elbows down a little bit and start to circle your hands. But keep the hands connected as you circle so that you come to the backs of your hands gently and just keep on circling. So it's not a harsh pressing of the hands, but there is just this easy connection as you circle through your hands one way. And then we're going to stop and reverse the circle that you're coming through with your hands there. So just enjoy feeling that movement through the wrists, that connection through your hands. And then the next time that your hands come together, let them come to be in front of your chest, in front of your heart, sitting up nice and tall here. And then let's inhale the hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down like wings. Taking a nice inhale here. And exhale to the right in your twist. So bring yourself around. Left hand can come all the way to the right knee or to the midline. Lengthen up. Feel the sitting bones drawing down. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, come on back around through center. We're going to go all the way into the other direction. So again, finding that twist in the middle of the back. Letting yourself feel your sitting bones drawing down. One more inhale. And then as you exhale, use your belly to come on back into center. And if we're cross-legged, we're going to stretch our legs out and switch the cross of the legs. So take your time. Bring yourself to the other leg in front once you're ready. And then this time, instead of using your whole torso, think about your navel making these little circles, right? So now you're very focused here on the navel, coming forward a little bit as you inhale, to the side, back towards your spine when you exhale, and coming to the other direction. So keeping going in the same direction, with those circles. But let yourself really, and you might want to close your eyes and really stay deeply focused. So it's not as big of a movement, right? It's really trying to use the muscles, the side abdominal muscles. Let yourself really focus on the navel, focus on the belly there. And let's stop in reverse direction. So when you're ready, coming to the other side, trying to really let the navel be your focus. Let those little circles be your focus. Good, and kind of finish off the one you're on. Come on back to neutral and take a nice inhale sitting tall. And when you exhale now, come into like a seated cat pose. Draw your navel towards your spine. Keep your shoulders over your hips, but really round back into your back if you can. And when you inhale, send the sits bones down, roll up through the spine. Let your head be the last thing that comes up to the top. So as you exhale, navel draws towards the spine, really round into your back. Let yourself feel it all the way up into between the shoulder blades and your upper back. And then when you inhale, send the sits bones down and just roll up through the spine with your head the last thing to come up. One more time, exhaling, drawing that navel towards the spine. And then as you inhale, sits bones down, rolling on up through here. And then from here, let's come on forward. Now flex your feet a little bit. If you're cross-legged, feel the outside edges of your feet on the ground. And come on again into that seated forward bend. So that you're kind of feeling a little more engagement now by pressing into the outside edges of your feet. Let yourself release to where you want to be. Watch your breath. Try to let your face go so you're not feeling tension all through your face, all around your eyes and mouth. Let go. Your jaw. It helps to kind of separate your teeth a little bit to release through your jaw more. And then come up a little bit so you can walk over towards your left, out over towards your left thigh if you can. And once you're there, see if you can, bring your right arm out longer and longer and go up to your fingertips on that hand. And let yourself just find a little more there through the right side. And then come on back through center. We're going to walk over to the other side. Again, once you get there, let that left hand come onto your fingertips and the tips of your thumbs. Let it go really long and feel yourself extending through the left side of the body there. Good, and then we'll come on back into center again. Release to where you want to be. Take a few breaths there. Let yourself come into the breathing nice, full, and deep. Let your inhales and exhales feel fairly even. If You like those Ujjayi breaths where you feel your breath coming through your throat? You're more than welcome to come into Ujjayi breaths anytime in class. Good. And let's come on up. So take your time as you rise on up. And let's go ahead and stretch our right leg out beside us and kind of adjust this left foot to where when you think about coming a little forward, you're okay in this knee. So if you need to put a little support underneath it, do. If you're like, I can't even keep my foot in like this, then go ahead and extend your leg out long, you know. So as you come forward, kind of focusing on this inner right thigh, just let yourself come a little bit forward. It doesn't take much to feel that inner thigh, especially if you're engaging your heel down on that right foot and drawing it back towards you and pressing into the ball of the foot, keeping your knee and toe facing up. Good. So one more breath there. And then we'll slowly walk ourselves up so we can switch our legs out. So again, once you bring this right leg in, if you feel at all uncomfortable in your knee or your hip, put support. Kind of find where it's best for you to have this front foot. Check out your knee and your toes of the left foot so that when you come forward, you're not letting the leg roll inward or backward, right? You want the knee and the toe facing up. Feel the heel on the ground and just let yourself come a little bit forward. And it really only takes a little tiny bit, right, to come into that inner thigh. Good. And then we're going to slowly make our way back up. And from here, let's bring our legs on forward and just move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. Circle one way and the other, little wiper blades, anything you want to do, little leg bounces. Good. And then bring your hands behind you and bend your knees, bring your feet to the floor. Now, we're just going to lift up briefly. So if you prefer to turn your hands so that your hands are turned out backwards a little bit, do. Or you can face your fingertips towards your feet. Let's just lift up for just a second, just to wake up the shoulders. Feel the shoulders and feel your hands, your wrists. Let yourself just engage your belly a little bit. Good. And then we'll come back down. And from here, stretch your legs back out. We're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. So you know if you don't want to be on your hands and knees, don't be. Be on a blanket if you prefer. Actually, come down onto your forearms. Let's try this. Let's come down onto our forearms. And go ahead and clasp your hands together like we do for Dolphin Pose. Send your pinky out. Be kind of comfortable. Let your hips be up in the air. Let your head release for a second. And now when you exhale, you're going to drop into a cat pose right from here. Feel your navel drawing towards your spine. Kind of shift your weight a little more forward so your shoulders come a little more over your elbows. And then when you inhale, send your tailbone back and up. Let the belly melt. Your shoulders might sink a little back now as you come into what would be cow pose. So exhaling, drawing up again into what would be cat pose. If it feels good to shift forward a little bit, do. You don't have to do that. That depends on you. Really feel your navel drawing towards your spine. Your next inhale will move your tailbone back and up as you come into that what would be cow pose. Really let your chest melt down. So one more time. Exhaling, drawing up into that rounded back. Let your head hang. Feel your belly. And then inhale your way back with the tailbone drawing up, the belly, the ribs sink, the heart melts. You can even look towards your hands if you want. Good. And then let's come on to our hands, way out there in front of us here now. And then come on up to all fours. And curl our toes under and come on back into a downward facing dog pose. So walk your dog a little bit if you need to. Wag your tail if you want. Adjust yourself there. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Hug your elbows towards each other. And just breathe here in your dog. Let yourself, when you come into centering in your dog. Let it just feel like you're totally meant to be there for a while, right? It feels so easy. You're pressing back out of your hands. Your elbows are hugging towards each other. Good. And then from here, we'll come on down with our knees, and we're going to step our left foot forward and come up into a lunge. So you know you're welcome to get your blocks for that. Whatever feels good, getting yourself into that first lunge, whatever height you want to be. Draw your shoulders down, away from your ears. Let yourself really enjoy finding your lunge there. And then see if you can shift to bring your left hand or forearm up to your thigh so that you're just a little bit maybe higher up with your torso, and you've got yourself in that nice long diagonal line, using your legs, really feeling it in the hips. Good. And we're going to lower that left hand back down so we can switch legs and bring our right foot forward, coming into that lunge here. So getting yourself established in your lunge, the length you like. Make sure you're aligned with that front knee well. And then again, if you can bring your right hand or forearm up right above your knee there so that you're using your legs a little deeper, but you feel that whole length through the back of your body. Good. Nice. We're going to switch again. So this time, we're going to add a little twist. So, same thing. You can bring your left hand up right above your knee, but then as you start to twist here, you decide. You can put your left hand back on your low back. You can stretch your arm up if you'd rather, coming into that twist. So take your time. Let yourself just enjoy finding the twist here in your lunge. Lengthen out through the crown of your head and back through your inner heel. And then we'll bring that hand on back down, and we're going to switch and go to the other side. So finding that lunge, take your time. When you're ready to bring that right hand on up and roll that shoulder up, you can let your palm face down towards your sacrum there. You can, if you choose, stretch your arm up overhead. Totally up to you. And then we'll come on back down with our hand. And we're going to step forward. Get our feet hips distance apart and parallel. And have yourself just the distance apart that you like for your feet. And then walk a little bit in your Uttanasana. Bend one knee at a time. Lift the heel up and really let yourself press into the ball of the foot when you're up on that ball of the foot. So you feel the movement in your feet and find that ease now of moving through the feet and releasing the backs of the legs. And then see if you can come up with both heels way up in the air. So you may want to use blocks under your hands, right? That's up to you. Heels are way, way, way up. And look at your toes there on the floor. And try to see how it feels now. Make sure you're not rolling outside to the pinky toe side of your feet or inside to the big toe side. But you're like kind of focusing right there between the big and the middle toe, right? Good, and then lower the heels on back down. Let yourself soften your knees. Come on into your Uttanasana wherever you like to be, whether you like to put your elbows above your knees to support you, or you like to keep your hands on the blocks, or you like to bring your hands down towards the ground. And then watch your breath. Easy, full, and deep. Again, taking time to appreciate those little spaces between your breaths. Good, and then we'll let our hands rise on up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees, press into our feet, come on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. Let our exhale bring our hands down. Let our crown of our head float up higher. Coming into mountain pose now. Let your hands be very softly together. Thumbs just coming in towards the breastbone wherever feels comfortable. But be aware of that connection through your hands. And then bring your awareness to your feet. Feel that sense of drawing up out of your rooted feet, thighs softly lifting upward, tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. And then just find that place for your head where it feels so light. So if you just slightly send your chin forward, it doesn't feel so light anymore. Or if you tuck your chin way back behind either, that doesn't feel so good. But there is that place where it feels like someone's just pulling upward on the top of your head so that it comes right into place where you can just feel it floating up there. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us. And inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend your knees as you come on forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. And let's step right foot back and come into our lunge. And inhale. Exhale into our downward facing dog pose. Finding that dog again, feeling those elbows hug in, spreading your fingers nice and wide. And then once you get pretty set in your dog, turn your head to look underneath one arm at a time. So slowly, so you really kind of feel that ease of just slowly turning to look under your right arm and then under your left arm. And then finish off back with your head at center. Look at your feet for a second. And on the next inhale, let's come on out towards that plank. Nice and strong. Engage your belly. And start to bend your elbows just a tiny little bit. If you want to put your knees down right now before you go all the way down, do. And then we're going to lower down. Elbows right by the ribs. So let's come on to our forearms. Into a Sphinx pose here. Elbows under the shoulders or as close to as you can. Bring your gaze between your hands a little bit farther forward if you can, so there's a little bit more of an uplift. And then from there, just bend your left knee and don't pull the heel in towards the buttocks. Feel like you're putting a footprint on the ceiling. And engage your belly. And then lower that foot down, and let's go to the left. So just bring the foot up so it's like you're putting a footprint on the ceiling. Engage your belly there. Feel your quad, but feel your belly really working. Nice stretch of the belly, too. And then come on back down with that foot. Now from here, go about halfway down to the floor. Slide your hands back by your upper chest. And let your elbows hug in. So here's a cobra. You want to go higher, go right ahead. You want to press into your hands and come up so that you come up higher into your cobra. You're more than welcome to. Or to stay in that baby cobra there. And then we're all going to release totally back down to the floor and come back into down dog, whether you want to go back through a full or a half push-up, or maybe back from your hands and knees to your dog. Spread your fingers wide, hug your elbows towards each other. Really find the whole body in your down dog here. Good, and on your next inhale, rise your heels way up. And when you exhale, let them descend back down towards the ground. So inhaling, heels rising way, way up. And exhaling, coming down. Remember that same thing. When you rise up this time, think about between your big toe and your second toe. So you're not rolling to the pinky toe side of the foot. And then lowering the heels back down. From here, we'll bring the right foot forward to come into lunge. And then we'll step back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And just breathe. So those little spaces between your breaths. As you bring your focus there again, it is almost like you get lost in those little spaces between the breaths. So if you focus on, I'm just going to relax in these little spaces, they might lengthen out. They might not. It doesn't matter. But just kind of let yourself focus right on those spaces for these next few breaths. back up to our hips as we bend our knees and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's come into a little chair pose. Let yourself sit back. Doesn't have to be very deep. Shift your weight a little more to your heels. Press your heels down into the floor. Really feel those heels pressing down. And then imagine your inner thighs melting down towards the ground. Then see if you can rise your arms up more by your ears, turning your palms to face each other. One more breath. And as you exhale, let yourself fold on forward into your standing forward bend. Inhale into that nice long flat back. And this time we'll step left foot back to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So take your time, wag your tail around a little bit, let yourself be really easy getting into your dog. Good, and then come on back into full dog and do a little bit of those belly circles we did before. So think about your navel circling in one direction. So it's not, try not to move your hips really a lot. It's really very focused on the navel, on the belly. When you're ready to reverse and go the other way, let yourself really focus deeply on those abdominals. Letting yourself try to circle that navel in that other direction. Good. And then finish off back at your full dog, and we're going to come on out to plank. And we're going to lower down again. Some knees first if you choose, elbows right by the ribs. And coming into cobra, your choice, whether you stay low, you don't even have to use your hands if you don't want, or you can press up into your cobra pose. Elbows hugging in towards the ribs, letting yourself feel really easy where you have your head. So try not to drop back into the back of the neck like that. Try to keep yourself a little more easy there. And now right from your cobra, we're going to shift back towards pose of the child. So let yourself shift back, big toes together. Let your heels separate. Let your arms stay overhead. And see if you can lift up to the tips of your fingers and your thumbs in your child's pose. So arms are up overhead. Let yourself just be up on the tips of the fingers and thumbs. Take a couple of breaths. And then soften your elbows down. And some of you, if you can, bend your elbows and put your hands up on your upper back. And that might not be good for some people's shoulders, but if you can do that, do. And just breathe. Let the shoulders release, your triceps stretch out a little bit. Good, and then reach the arms back long overhead. And we're going to come back to all fours, curl our toes under, and come on back into downward facing dog pose. And we will bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. If you are able to slip either your fingers underneath your toes, leaving your hands kind of on top of your feet, or lift your feet up and put your whole hand palms upward under your feet. Your hands are facing palm up, where your toes press into the heels of your hands. Either one of those, if you can do either one of those, do. If not, don't. Use support if you need, don't worry about it, and be where you can. And then just breathe. See if you can really feel. As the ribs expand, it's like your torso comes a little away from your legs. And as you inhale, it's like the top of your head just wants to get closer towards the ground. From here, we are going to release our hands. Bring them on back up to our hips, bend our knees, and rise up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Lifting your elbows up a little bit here. Feel the hands a little more firmly together. And let's take just another of those circles where we keep our hands connected like we started with. So let yourself just easily, it's almost like a rolling through your hands, right? You just roll through your wrist easily. We're going to stop and reverse directions. So just rolling through the other way. Good. And then finish with your hands right back together in front of your chest, in front of your heart. You're getting ready to move with the breath. So really start to bring your focus into allowing your breath to carry you through your sun salutations. Releasing your arms on down beside you. Let's inhale both arms all the way out and up. And let your exhale bring you forward. Let your inhale lengthen out your spine. Exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into downward dog. Let your inhale bring you to your plank. Exhale will lower you down. Inhale into your cobra of choice. And exhale back into your down dog. Inhale. Exhale right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way up to the top with your breath. And let your exhale bring you forward. Inhale into that long back. Exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Your inhale carries you to plank. Your exhale will lower you down. Inhale into your cobra. And exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way up to the top. And let your exhale carry you forward again. Inhale, nice long back. We're going to come to down dog. Place your hands, jump, walk your way back. Do what feels good. And just adjust into your dog. Really spread your fingers. Really feel your hands equal on the mat there. Hug your elbows towards each other. Let your breath settle down a little bit. Let yourself feel like you're coming home to dog. Good. And we'll bring our left foot forward from here. And you may want both your blocks handy. We're going to come up to warrior two. So letting yourself adjust into that back foot. Getting your knee aligned there with your front foot. And at first, let's just bring our right arm under our left and give ourselves a hug. If possible, go on into your eagle wrap if you want. If that feels better to stay hugging here, stay hugging. Let that release happen between the shoulder blades on your back. Feel your feet in the floor. You know, and if it gets to be too much, if you feel like, well, I can't really focus, my legs are kind of screaming at me already, you can straighten that front leg out if you need to. Or you can have it bent, or a little of both. Good. Let's unwind our arms. Bring your hands on down so that we can just float the arms on up and out. Into warrior two arms here. Reaching out through the fingertips. Feel a little bit of energy through your hands. Feel that softness in the tops of your shoulders. Feel the feet equally into the floor. And then see if you can float your left heel just a little bit up off the floor. Not high. Left heel comes up a little bit. Feel your quad. Feel that outer left hip releasing down. And then lower your heel on back down to the floor. We're going to turn our left palm up. Right hand is going to slide down our right leg as we inhale into that reverse warrior. Take a couple of breaths here, really feeling the ribs expanding on the left side when you inhale. Be sure to look wherever is comfortable for your neck. And let your next exhale carry you into your side angle. So bringing your left hand or forearm down. Swing your arm up while you're looking at the floor. Your right arm up into line with your right ear, with your pinky down and your thumb up. And now if you can, press into that left forearm and open into your side angle do. Letting yourself feel that sense of a long diagonal line down the right side of the body. Good. From here, bend that right elbow. Put your right hand behind your head. And then see if you can just gently feel your head coming into your hand. Focus on drawing that left outer hip back a little bit, really feeling that sense of coming into that left hip there. One more breath. Good. And now from here, turn to look at the floor. Stretch your right arm up like you're doing triangle, because that's what we're going to come into, right? So you can put your left hand down on whatever you want as you start to straighten that left leg out. Coming into your triangle pose. So your torso is extended out over that front leg. And then when you're ready, if you want to turn to look back towards the long edge of your mat, or even up to look up towards your hand, that's fine. Be mindful. Let yourself take your time. Use whatever you need underneath your hand to make your triangle feel like it's really, in a way, it's an easy pose, right? Thighs are engaging up. Right. Good job. We're going to, from there, bend the front knee and come on back into Warrior Two. Pressing the feet away from each other as we come. And then just lower your hands behind you. Clasp your hands. Let it feel good. Just let yourself feel open across your chest. And remember, you don't want your tailbone to tuck up under you. Feel your tailbone dropping back behind you a little bit even. And then we're going to come into turning our feet more parallel. So you may want to adjust your stance if you're way too long or even maybe too short. And then keep your hands back behind you as you fold forward. Bend your knees a little bit. You know, you're more than welcome to let yourself stay parallel to the floor. If you feel like you want to keep folding forward, you're welcome to do that. If your arms can come off your back, you're welcome to let that happen. So just be mindful. If you need to stay up, and if you need to put your hands down to support you, by all means do. We're going to release our arms on down if they were up from here, and walk out enough so you can walk over towards your right foot. Doesn't matter how far you go. You know, you can have a block and be in front of your foot, or you can hold on to the outside of your right ankle there if you choose to draw yourself farther over towards your leg. And then we'll come back to center, and we're going to go to the left. So again, you may decide to go just a little bit with blocks or be in front of your foot. You may decide to hold on to the outside of your ankle and draw yourself closer to your own leg there. Good, and then walk on back into center and go ahead and adjust, bending a knee at a time. Maybe adjust the width of your stance if that feels good, so that you feel like you're going to be able to set up to stay with your breath here. And that might mean using blocks to give you some support. If you'd like to have blocks under your arms or your head or your hands, just remember, if you need to keep that long back, there are lots of ways to do it. You can have your elbows above your knees to support yourself, still let your head hang, or you can use your blocks underneath your forearms. So just come to that breath again. See if for the next 3 or 4 breaths you can inhale thinking the word so, and exhale thinking hum. So just inhaling so, exhaling hum, keeping your focus there. And we are from here going to let ourselves walk back out. We do want to walk back to our left foot from here to come on back into lunge. And we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. Once you're in dog, walk all the way to the tops of one foot at a time. Press into the top of the toes and stay there for a breath, long enough to where you can really stretch out the tops of your feet, and kind of just feel your toes getting a little bit of love there. Nice release there for the feet. And then finish off back in your dog, and let's come on out to plank. Go into an up dog if you can, whether you go right from your plank or maybe you want to go through chaturanga. And then we'll come on back into down dog. Now if you can keep on doing about 3 or 4 of these, let's do it. But let's just go out to plank and then move through into that up dog and then come back into down dog. So again, one more time, out to plank, moving through into your up dog and back to down dog. I lied, let's do one more. So out to plank, moving through if you can into up dog, and then back into down dog. Good, take your time there, walk a little bit. From there, we're going to bring our right foot forward, and we're going to come on into warrior 2 on the other side. So again, take your time. Get your blocks there handy. Line your heels up. Get a good feeling about how long your stance is so it feels like, oh, I can stay here forever. It feels really good. And we'll bring our left arm under our right. And again, if you give a hug, if you feel like coming into a wrap, you don't need to. You can just let yourself hug if you want. Feel the shoulders release down. Feel that openness between the shoulder blades. And again, if your legs are screaming at you, you can straighten that front leg and it kind of brings a little relief, right? If you straighten both your legs out, that means usually not quite so much going on there. And let's unwind our arms, bring our hands on down, and then float. Let those balloons blow up in your armpits to float your arms on up and out. Bring your gaze out over the top of that right hand. Feel your feet in the floor. Float your right heel a little up off the mat. Feel your quad pretty deeply there. And imagine that outer right hip dropping down, maybe even a little back. Bring your right heel back on down to the floor. We're going to turn that right palm up and inhale. Come into that reverse warrior as far back as you want to go. And then breathe into the ribs here. And on our exhale, bringing our right forearm down or hand to our thigh. Look at the floor. Swing your left arm as you're looking at the floor up into line with your ear. Thumb up, pinky down. And then press into that right hand or forearm as you open into that side angle, into your extended side angle here. So take your time, let yourself feel that equality through the sides of the body, the length out through the spine. Good. One more breath here. And now bend your left elbow, put your left hand behind your head if you can. Feel the head just gently coming into your hands. So it feels good. You're kind of engaged a little more in your belly when you gently press the back of your head into your hand, right? Good. And now release that arm up like you're doing triangle, that left arm. Look down and bring your right hand down so you can straighten that right knee out for triangle. If possible, lift your right toes up too, so that you can tell if you're rolling on that right foot. And then let your toes come on back down. As you start to turn your head, feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips. You can keep on turning up to look towards the ceiling if you want to look up, or you can keep your gaze towards the long edge of your mat. If your neck bothers you, just keep looking down. Beautiful. Triangle. One more breath. And then from here, we're going to bend that right knee. We're going to come on back into warrior 2. Press those feet away from each other as you come. Really finding that warrior 2, lengthening out through both sets of fingertips. And then we'll soften and let our arms come on down. Turn our feet more parallel. Kind of adjust your stance. And this time, let's just come on forward and bring our elbows above our knees. So you might have to adjust the width of your stance to get your elbows above your knees. Support your back there. Have a nice long spine. Let yourself, in this squat, just reach back through your tailbone and out through the top of your head. And then little tiny twists. Let your right shoulder reach across like you're reaching it over and across towards your left foot a little bit. And then come back into center. And let your left shoulder kind of reach across like it's going towards your right foot. And then come back and go back to the first side. Right shoulder across towards your left. And then come back and then left shoulder across like it's coming towards your right foot. Good, and then come on back into center. Bring your hands down either to a block or the floor. And let yourself, if you can, come into straighter legs, do. Coming into a nice flat back here. We're going to add a twist of right hand on up to the right hip, the low back. We're going to roll that shoulder up. If you're so inclined to bring your right arm up, you can. So as you come into that twist, that's up to you about adding the arm. Twist in the middle of the back, level right there on your sacrum. We're going to bring that right hand down, and we're going to switch. So left hand comes up. Press the feet away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat as you be coming into this twist. It makes it a wonderful feeling. You can stretch the arm up if you want. Nice. And then we're going to come on back down with the hand. And go ahead and take your time. Adjust. We're going to stay for a few breaths. So again, you might want some support. You might feel like you want to walk your hands towards between your feet or even back behind yourself. Just adjust to where you feel really easy to be. Where you can stay and you can feel released in your upper body. And you can just appreciate watching your breath. Nothing you need to do. Just once you get into the pose, it does it all. All you have to do is just stay with watching your breaths. Imagine all the muscles of your face are just totally relaxing. One more breath. And then from here, we're going to walk ourselves on back out so we can go back to our right foot, coming back into lunge. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. You're on your own now. If you'd like to do some vinyasas or kriyas, you can. You know you don't have to. You can come into whatever feels good. You can put your knees down if you'd rather. Take your time. Give yourself time to listen to what your body really kind of needs for you to do. And if that's taking a break, take a break. If that's staying in dog, so that you just let yourself feel dog as a resting pose, do that. Good. Well, let's do finish off, whatever it is we're doing. And come on back into down dog. And this time, we're going to bring our left foot forward for lunge. And you might want your blocks here, all right? Because once you get here, we're going to make our way into pyramid pose. So from coming into that pretty long lunge, we'll come into pyramid, and it might be a little bit longer than you usually do it, or you may need to shorten the stance up a little bit. So let yourself get that back heel fully on the floor. Find that little bit of a turnout there in that back foot, remember. So thighs are lifting up towards the hips. You let yourself take your time to extend really out over that front inner leg, right? Keep your back long. And then feel the backs of the legs as your thighs gently engage upward. And be aware, do you feel it more in your back leg or do you feel it more in your front leg? It's different for everybody. But let yourself feel what you can there in the backs of your legs. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to keep that right hand down and bring our left hand up to our left hip and come into Revolve Triangles. So letting yourself roll that left shoulder up. Feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips. Here's another one where if you want to rise your arm up, you can. or you can keep your hand down on your low back or your hip. It's again that same flatness here in the sacrum, twist in the middle of the back. Back foot is fully still on the floor. One more breath. And then bring your hand on back down. And if you want to fold forward, go right ahead. If it feels like the biggest relief to let yourself come to fold over that front leg, then by all means do. If not, don't do it. Good. One more breath. Now come up enough. We're going to come back into finding that lunge. So let yourself adjust into your lunge again. And some of you might want a blanket because we're going to lower that back knee down onto the mat and let ourselves press into the top of the back toes back there, the right toes. And let your hips shift forward. Now, you know, we're all different with this. Some of you may decide, well, I'm not shifting very far. I can't do that. My knee just doesn't work. You can stay up. You can go farther forward if it feels okay to you. And then some of you may actually want to bring yourself up to left forearm on your knee, bringing both hands up, right? Or bringing both hands above your knees so you can lift your shoulders to be more over your hips. Or, of course, you can bring your hands to your heart, or you can bring one arm or both arms up overhead if you want. Totally up to you. Keep hands down if you need to. If you feel like you need to stay forward and keep hands down, do. Good. And then let's go ahead and lower our hands on back down. We're going to curl our toes under and come back up into lunge. And we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Once you're in dog, bring your feet a little closer together. Lift your left leg up in the air, bend the knee, and open the hip. Look underneath your left arm. Stack that left hip on top of the right. Let the knee be bent. See if you can pull your heel in a little more towards your buttocks. And now, see if you can straighten the leg out. So you're turned out still. It's like you're in a half moon, right? You really got yourself toes facing towards the wall. And now turn the toes down, square the hips, put the foot back down on the floor. We're going to bring the right leg up. Bend the knee, and then open the hip there, stacking the right hip on top of the left. Look under your right arm. Pull your heel in more towards your buttocks so you feel your quad a little more. And then see if you can stretch the leg long. Good. And then turn the toes down, square your hips. Bring your toes back down. Walk through your dog a little bit. If you want to do a vinyasa or kriya, now's the time. You can come out, move through for an up dog, or not. Finish off. Come on back into down dog. Good. This time we're bringing the right foot forward, coming into lunge. Get your blocks if you need them, because we are going to head into that pyramid pose, remember. So bringing that left foot down to the floor, turned out 20, 30 degrees. Getting your hips square. Take your time, and if you need to adjust your stance, if you need to get a little longer, a little shorter, whatever works. A little wider maybe. And then find that length. Now you're really extending into that long spine, out over that front leg. Feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. And now again, be aware. Do you feel it more in the back or the front leg? Or does it feel pretty equal? It's just kind of interesting. Some people feel it much more in one leg than the other. And then bringing your right hand up to your right hip. We're going to come into that revolve triangle. So you're trying to be fairly level, just like we were in that wide-legged forward bend twist. And again, you can lift that arm up if you want to. You can lift the right arm up. You can keep the hand down. Lengthen out through the top of your head. Good. And then coming on back down with your right hand. Again, if you like to fold over that leg, by all means, feel free to do that if it feels like a relief. Enjoy. Again, you're still engaging upward with your thighs. Good. And now bring yourself on back to lunge. We're going to bend that front knee, remember, and reach back a little further to find that lunge. And again, if you need that blanket, before you lower your knee down to the mat, do. Come to the top of the left toes and press the toenails really into the floor. And you may not want to lift up. You may want to stay forward. Or you might feel like, I like to get up a little higher. It gives me more, stretch in the front of that left hip. Or I like to just keep my hands there on my thigh so that I can support myself but really stretch there in the front of the hip. Or of course, again, you can bring your hands to your heart if you want. You can keep one hand down, bring one arm up, or you can bring both arms up if you choose. Again, that is totally optional. It's fine to stay so that you feel like you can get the most out of the pose, wherever feels good for you. Good, and then we'll bring our hands on back down. And we're going to lift the back knee up again, come back into lunge, and then back into downward facing dog pose. This is for sure the final vinyasa, so you can come out if you want to do things, to do back bends, to put your knees down and be in child's pose is great. So move through whatever you want to do. Good. And then we'll meet back in downward facing dog pose. Good. From here, bend your knees really deeply. Let your belly come towards your thighs. Decide whether you want to jump or walk your way to the front of your mat. So we're going to come on forward, getting our feet right underneath us. Lift your toes up for a second, and maybe even if your hands can reach down there, give your toes a little massage. Like just start with the pinky toes and do both pinky toes at once, and then your next toe and your next toe, just a little squeeze. Give your toes a little love, all the way through to the big ones. And then, once you feel evened out there, go ahead and let the toes soften down towards the ground. And then bring your hands up to your hips and rise on up to standing. And inhale your arms all the way out and up. And let your exhale, bring your hands down, but the top of your head up. So now you're lighter than a feather. Let yourself just enjoy. If you sway a little bit, let yourself sway a little bit. Just enjoy letting the body adjust its way there, however it needs, to find your mountain pose easily. And enjoy the energy flowing through. And then we'll go ahead and unfold our arms on down the side and shake out a little bit. Good. Let's go to a wall. So let's find a wall. There's lots of room, so feel free if anybody wants to. Yeah, there you go, Lynette. So yeah, so you can be there. Perfect. So we're staying here. Bring everything with you. And let's get a block. You may not want to use it, but you may, so we'll take it just in case. We'll turn our left shoulder towards the wall and bring a block between our left foot and the wall. And if you want to use it, fine. If not, that'll be fine too. And at first, just come into crossing your right ankle above your left knee. Shift your hips back and let yourself just release for a second there. Keep your hand on the wall. Don't come into anything really crazy. Just let it release a little bit. We're going to practice a little bit of eagle, right? Now, if you want to go lower with your hands because it just feels great, you can come on down. You can use a block or put your hands down towards the floor. The more you bend that left knee, the more you're getting into it. So don't force anything. Good. And then come on back up. We're going to cross the thigh over now so that the toes can rest on that block. So if you flex your foot and you bend your left knee and you come back like you're going into that chair pose with the torso coming forward, the hips coming back, you can put your toe on the block. You know, if anybody wants to be a rapper today, go right ahead and wrap your toes around the back of your leg. Take your time though, let yourself feel as you bring your gaze maybe 6 feet in front of you on the floor. You can decide if you want to let go of the wall, bring your hands to your heart. And if you're like, well, I really don't want to use the block, then just flex your toes up off the block. Let yourself balance there without the block under your toes. You can do your eagle wrap arms too if you want. Left arm over right, totally optional. Do where you can. Let yourself enjoy coming into your hips, your thighs. You don't have to make it a full balance. You don't have to do that wrap. You want to be mindful of your knees. And then come on back up. We're going to turn around. And this will feel like the best part of it, because right away, if you cross your left ankle above your right knee, and you sit back a little with your hips, that's a pretty good release, right? If you want to come forward and forward and forward and put your hands down, again, you can use your blocks under your hands. You can bring your hands to the floor. The more you bend that knee, again, the deeper you're going to get into being able to release that left hip. And then when you start to rise up and cross the thigh over the thigh, here it comes into whether you want to do that full wrap or put your toe on the block or not. Shift back with your hips, squeeze your thighs a little towards each other, and then you can decide if you want to balance or not, right? You can bring your hands to your heart. You can bring your right arm over your left into that full eagle wrap with your arms, so you wrap both arms and legs. Not necessary to do that, you know that. Really finding what feels good for your hips. Good. Good, and then let yourself release. And come on out of it. Good, move your block on out of the way. And let's come on down with our feet back towards the wall behind us. Let yourself come forward onto your forearms like we did at the beginning of class. Clasp your hands, send your pinkies out. So you've got your hips up in the air. And do those little cat-cow things we did, right? So where you move through your spine a little bit. Just let it feel good. When you come up into like your cat pose, let your head hang. You might want to shift a little forward and just ease your way through your spine the best way that it feels to you. Good. And then come back to neutral. Go ahead now and get yourself set up for a dolphin pose. So toes are at the wall. Once you curl your toes under, you lift up and back. You may have to adjust, you know that, how far your arms are away from you, away from the wall. So if you need to come down, because you want to come up at a little bit different angle in your dolphin pose, do. And of course, you can just stay there for a breath, come down. You can lift legs up whenever you want to. So if it feels good to bring your legs up, walk up the wall a little bit, or just do one leg at a time. Play with it. Let it feel easy. You know, you can rest anytime. You can come down and rest for a little bit and maybe try going back up again. Of course, you rest how you need, whether it's in child's pose or maybe you prefer to get your head up above your heart. Okay. And we're going to make our way into a little bit of a pigeon pose from here. So coming on forward and letting your left knee come towards the left front corner of your mat. Go ahead and check your right leg out to make sure it's directly behind your hip. And then feel that left heel coming in towards your hip pointer bone there. And you know, if you need some support, you can grab support to put underneath that bent leg side if that feels better for you, all right? So that you feel a little more easy in the pose. And for a second, use your hands into the floor. Let yourself lift up so that you can feel that openness through, focus on right here, the front of your right hip. Feel the top of the foot gently into the floor. Good. And now as you ease your way forward, this is all up to you. You can grab a block, put it under your forearms or your head. Or you're more than welcome to bring your head down to your hands, make a little pillow if you want to. So be mindful, let it feel good. You can every once in a while push into the top of that right foot. You can engage by feeling like you're hugging your legs a little towards each other if you want to feel a little different things going on in your hips. Or you can just release and breathe into your low back. And some of you might want to come up enough to thread the needle with your right arm coming through and lie on the right side of your head, maybe even putting your left hand up on your low back. Now this twist is not for everybody. It puts it really much more into that left hip, so only do it if it feels okay. Let yourself just breathe. Stay just centered forward. If this is too much, don't do it. One more breath here, wherever you are. And then we're going to come on slowly back up out of this. So rise yourself up enough to switch legs. And you know, that doesn't matter how you do that. You can bring yourself through a child's pose or through a down dog if you want. Once you do bring your right knee forward, get yourself adjusted. Again, if you like that blanket, use it. See about getting yourself so that you can come up with your hands so that you're up a little higher with your shoulders and you can really focus on the front of that left hip too. Good. And then when you start to ease your way forward, use whatever support you need. You can make a pillow with your hands. You can let yourself stretch your arms forward if you want to. Use a block. Again, if you feel like a little bit more, you can kind of press down into the top of the toes. I forgot to say on the other side, but I like to curl the toes under, lift the knee up, and then let the knee reach farther back towards the wall at my foot, and then come down again. I really love that feeling. That's optional. Love this pose. So be really mindful of this twisty part, remember. So if you do want to come up, you thread the needle with your left arm through, and you come down onto the left side of your head there. You can rise your right hand up. It can rest just on your low back, you know, right at the middle. Or it can come around to the top of your left hip, or you can reach around and try to get your right foot back there if you choose. That bind is certainly not for everybody. Some people, it just feels amazing. So just take your time. Good. Breathe into where you feel like you need the breath. And then from here, we're going to come on back around, and to come out of this, come on up to your forearms, and then come up to shift around to that right hip, and then just bring your legs on around in front of you. Shake them out a little bit. Bring your hands behind you, and let yourself open your chest. Just draw the chest forward. Feel the shoulders draw back. And it doesn't matter whether you just look a little bit up, or maybe you want to even look higher. It depends on you and your neck. Good. And if you want to lift up into a reverse plank, you're more than welcome to. So if it feels good, you can come on up into that reverse plank, whichever direction you like your hands to be. All right, so remember your hands can turn back a little bit so the fingertips are more back towards the wall, or they can face forward, or you can forget the whole thing. Don't do any of it, all right? And when you come down, take care of your wrists. Let yourself release a little bit, shake out. Bend your knees, bring your feet to the floor, and we're going to come on down. Now, if you like to roll down through your spine, you can. Or, you know, if you like to come through like a half boat, you can come into this low kind of half boat here to use your belly a little bit. And then maybe you can just lower yourself down. So, you know, those are totally option. You bring yourself down to your back however you want. Bringing your right knee into your chest. When you get there, let yourself flex through both your feet. And then when you're ready, switching your legs. So letting yourself come to the other side. Good. And then bring both your knees in. Let them go a little bit from side to side. And you know, see what you think your body wants to do right now. I had another pose in mind, but you know what? What do you feel like doing? Do you need a twist? Do you need a bridge? Do you need a plow? Do you need none of the above? Do you need to just let yourself start to get ready for Shavasana and just be mindful. Let yourself take your time to just listen to whatever your body is kind of saying to you, which it does if we are just quiet long enough. Start to lift the lights, and then I will start to come around, but don't rush. If you need to do another pose or two, do that. Some of you might want to come into today a Shavasana that's supported somehow, so let me know if you do want to do that. So if you do want like a bolster for either under your back or for underneath your knees, or if you need a blanket for under your head, or for cover. Take your time. Sometimes you feel fine at first, and then you decide, oh my, I definitely need a little bit of support. Just wave at me if you've changed your mind about needing something. And just be with your breath. Let yourself accept your breaths in and out. As you keep coming back to your breath, just enjoy those little stages that happen. You know, your body releases deeper and deeper. Your mind goes to those little quiet places. Just appreciate having this time to give your body and your brain time to benefit from all you just did. Allow yourself to completely and fully relax. letting your breath come in and go out more fully and deeply again. Just imagine those deeper breaths really refreshing your whole body. So it's like you can send your breath all the way out through your body to the tips of your fingers and your toes. And moving a little bit feels natural to come into fingers and toes, hands and feet, arms and legs when you're ready. So you know you can stretch, you can draw your knees in, curl up if you want to. You can roll onto either your right or your left side. If you want to be on your side for a little bit, you can always use your arm as a pillow so that you can rest comfortably on your side. Appreciate the ground cradling you a little bit longer. And just be easy about rising up when you're ready. So when you're ready to come up to sitting, let it feel like you can float your way up and you can stay feeling nice and relaxed, right? Even though you start to sit up tall, it's like your bones take over, your spine takes over to support you, but you can still stay relaxed in your muscles, and you can still float upward through the top of your head so it feels very easy to sit and come back to your breath. Let your next exhale bring your hands to softly meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.